Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news and notes mashup video today, starting with another day, another complaint from the Tyson Fury camp about what Dillian Whyte is demanding for a fight with Tyson Fury. So here is a graphic that DAZN has whipped up, and this follows an IFL TV interview, but we'll get to the boxing scene story, which covers more of what has been discussed by Bob Arum, the co-promoter for Tyson Fury. So they are saying that they are looking potentially now Robert Helenius and Andy Ruiz Jr. because they're saying that Dillian Whyte is asking for too much. If he thinks he can win, stop capping around with arbitration and looking to push for the biggest dollar. Tyson is the big attraction. Nobody in the United States has heard of Dillian Whyte really. We've offered him a deal of 25% with a guarantee in brackets of 5 to 5.5 million and let them negotiate off that. Again, he says he wants to start with 8 figures over 10 million, which is absolutely out of the question. I don't know what he's talking about. They are just being greedy. That's the one thing that is bad about boxing. Look at the purses that you've made throughout the year, through your career. This would be by far his biggest purse. We're prepared to pay, and yet they're just grinding it out. So Tyson will just have to fight for the Ring Magazine title. He'll save his sanctioning fee money. Hopefully he'll be successful. And then Usyk and Josh will have fought, and the winner will be out to fight them with or without the WBC title. The loser is going to be, without any question, Dillian Whyte. We've offered them a big and good deal, a purse far more than they've ever gotten in any fight, and that hasn't moved them. We talked to the WBC head Mauricio Suleiman, and he said, look, it breaks my heart, go find another opponent. Fight without the WBC title. We are not going to take it away from you, go about your business. And just to recap how this has all come about, obviously Dillian Whyte is the WBC interim champion, Tyson Fury the WBC champion. At the WBC convention, and this was a couple of months ago, the WBC said they would not mandate a fight between Whyte, the interim champion, and Fury, the full champion, because of ongoing arbitration Dillian Whyte has against the sanctioning body. A few weeks later, though, they come out and say, well, actually, we are ordering this fight. But then we hear that the arbitration is still ongoing. So the order from the WBC would have 20% for Dillian Whyte in his end. Whyte is fighting for a bigger cut because the WBC's rules say the interim champion should get 45%. So then you have this discrepancy between what he could get, 20%, and what he thinks the WBC within its own rules says he should get. So now that everything is a negotiation, he's in arbitration with the sanctioning body, and Arum is saying 25%, which would be $5 to $5.5 million, is more than enough. So it's boxing, it's never easy, but in a way as well, I get the argument that Whyte hasn't had paydays sort of rivaling Tyson Fury's recent paydays, but this also is a big fight, and without Whyte, Tyson Fury can't also help to generate the money that he would be getting from his end. But ultimately, I don't care what they get, I just want them to fight. So here's hoping that some of this does sort of get ironed out, but I do think that they will follow through and have another fight against another opponent. And Arum is saying Ruiz and also Robert Helenius. And you might recall he threw out the name of Joseph Parker the other week, but as I said at the time, I didn't think that was realistic. One, because of promotional considerations, but also the friendship between Fury and Parker. Parker having said he wouldn't fight his friend Tyson Fury. But Arum continuing, those are the two principal guys I'll be talking to Frank and Tyson later this week, and we'll figure out what we'll be doing. It's unfortunate in a sense because Dillian Whyte can have that fight. There is no question we would do that fight. In our view, they are very greedy in what they are asking for. So Ruiz, that could be a possibility, especially if they're willing to cut the same deal with PBC, which would share the pay-per-view across the different sort of broadcasters, etc. I could see that working in the United States. In terms of Robert Helenius, he's just come off a win against Adam Kovnatsky. It's unclear what his promotional status is. Is he free and clear of PBC? Because if he is, then obviously they can just sort of draft him in and then he can have a fight against Tyson Fury, and it would all be ESPN. And I'm sure Robert Helenius would be gagging for a fight of that magnitude, especially because it would be easily a career highest payday for him as well. So I think Helenius, if he is free and clear of any PBC commitments, he might be the easier one to negotiate with if they decide to have a fight that's not for the WBC title. Ruiz Jr., that could still be a possibility. Obviously, what else is in there in the United States at the moment that could make sense and make money? A big name that could generate pay-per-views. Ruiz, with his sort of, obviously, former unified champion, he's on the comeback trail at the moment, and also having the Mexican boxing market, it could make some sense. So moving now to what I guess we would consider some bad news. So Tony Yoka and Martin Bakole, which had been scheduled for January the 15th, is not happening anymore. So it has been postponed. And here is the from All Star Boxing France. So they are the event organizers. Translated statement. The fight between Tony Yoka and Martin Bakole, scheduled for Jan 15, 2022 at the Accor Arena, is postponed to a later date, following the latest government announcements concerning the limitation of the size of the audience for sports and cultural events. All Star Boxing is forced to reschedule the event. A new date will be announced soon. So very disappointing for boxing fans, because obviously January was shaping up pretty good. You have that New Year's Day event from PBC, 5 heavyweight fights, and we'll come to one of those in a moment because Carlos Negron, he is off that card. But then obviously Yoka and Bakole mid-January. You have Aslan Bekmambetov, Marius Vuk, January 22nd, and then reportedly we're going to get Trevor Bryan and Mahmoud Shah at the end of January. I guess fingers crossed and hold your breath for that one. So disappointing news for Yoka and Bakole. They're still going to fight, it's just not clear when. And I have seen a few people sort of raise the question, well, can't you just fight in some sort of bubble? But obviously at a couple of weeks' notice, maybe they need to do a bit of work to minimize the costs and rearrange and reschedule for that sort of thing to happen. So it could end up being that anyway. Carlos Negron, so he is off the Luis Ortiz Charles Martin pay-per-view headliner event. He had been due to face Frank Sanchez as the co-main event, so out due to COVID. And he's actually being replaced by Christian Hammer. And I actually think that is a better co-main event and a better name for Frank Sanchez at this point. Negron, he was probably as the co-main event here because of his relationship with Luis Ortiz. They train out of the same stable, same trainer, Herman Caicedo. So I think that was the in here, because to me, that shaped as a very weak co-main event for a pay-per-view event. Even as a normal boxing card, I think, Negron hasn't fought at the level to deserve co-main status. It would have been, in my view, more appropriate if Negron was further down the card facing like Ali Aaron Demirjian, with a Gerald Washington sort of with the more name recognition, fought at a high level, facing Frank Sanchez, that resume builder, a bit of a showcase fight. So I don't mind Christian Hammer actually coming in here because he's fought at a better level than Negron. He is tricky and awkward, can take guys rounds. A couple of years ago, took Luis Ortiz and also Oleksandr Povetkin quite a few rounds. Tony Yoka as well, sort of made Yoka look a little bit ordinary in there, but that's the way that Christian Hammer can fight. So I don't mind this at all. It's a shame for Negron, but in terms of Christian Hammer, Frank Sanchez, I think that's a better fight. Maybe it won't lead to an early, brutal stoppage for Frank Sanchez, but I guess at this stage, are rounds more important? I think they are. Oleksandr Usyk says he is solely focused on Anthony Joshua, not looking at Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder, the likes of those opponents, just yet. So in an interview with Forbes, wide-ranging, you can find it on the Forbes website, he says, I might want Fury to fight Fury or Wilder, but for now, I am concentrating on the rematch with Joshua. And asked if he expected a different Joshua, someone more aggressive, reinvented, he says, I'm not worried if Joshua is ready to fight. Oleksandr is ready for any kind of fight. And similar sort of question here, adjustments. Of course, he's going to change everything. Everything will be new. So I don't mind those sorts of statements from Oleksandr Usyk, because I think it's pretty clear. We're going to see some sort of reinvented Joshua for the rematch. What that's going to be, I mean, he sort of said he's a throwback fighter and he doesn't want to use the sweet science. He just wants to go to war. Whether he can do that, whether he can do it effectively, big questions. I don't think Oleksandr Usyk will be too worried with those sorts of statements, because he's a guy who's seen a lot of styles through the amateur days and even in his pro career at cruiserweight. So he is ready for anything. He's pretty much seen it all over the course of his long career, amateur and pro. And Anthony Joshua sighting in Dubai, so ticking over there in the gym of Anthony Chill Wilson in this clip. So they're reportedly talking April for the UK potentially. That's comments from Eddie Hearn in recent days, but April could end up being June or July potentially with COVID, etc. Who knows how things will go in 2022. It's sort of up and down with the pandemic, etc. Dave Allen says he's going to get back to where he wants to go, and he doesn't really care what people think. So going through here in a statement on Instagram, discussing, having fought Tony Yoka, then going on to stop Lucas Brown, etc. So he says, this time around, I've been wrote off more so than ever. Again, I will do the same, and always I will do it my own way. I've never cared how I've got places and done things as long as they've got done. I guess he's sort of talking himself up and convincing himself that he's still got enough energy and commitment and dedication to the sport to make another run to achieve something in the sport. I think there is a question mark about Allen, his durability. Has he taken too much punishment over recent years, and what's he got left? It is an open question. So people are right, in my mind, to be doubting what Allen can really do at this stage. And we haven't seen him step up from a lowly sort of comeback tune-up, so who knows what he's really got left. He himself had spoken about medical issues more later in his career before his brief retirement, and even said he was knocked out on his feet from a shot from Oleksandr Usyk, and this is that shot. And rounding out this video, so the return of Jarrell Miller, it is nearing. So he's posted a clip to his social media saying it's do or die, etc. Watch this. So this is a montage where he's going through bits and pieces, his mentality, warrior mentality, as it were. So obviously he's Jarrell Pharmacy Miller. He's done a couple of bans in recent years in terms of his drug taking. After he was due to face Jerry Forrest, he tested positive and was banned for 18 months. It was going to be longer, but he was able to shave off 6 months by doing some VADA testing. Prior to that, obviously, infamously in 2019, failed multiple tests for multiple substances. Jarrell Big Pharmacy Miller, he is due to be back soon. So he's added a whole bunch of people and hashtagging a bunch of people. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to take a chance on him. It's boxing. People have short memories. Someone will take a chance on him at some point. We will see it, no doubt. It was top ranked last time. They dropped him after that. Who's it going to be this time? Maybe Premier Boxing Champions. They've been sort of, hashtagged at the bottom of this sort of rant of hashtags. We will see, but Jarrell Miller back soon. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.